Hey guys, Tarithal here. I want to spend a little time in this video talking about Mists of Tirna Scithe. I've been running a lot of beta dungeons for the War Within, and one thing I've noticed is that Mists of Tirna Scithe received many changes, and it's actually quite difficult to time now. In fact, with current dungeon tuning, I would probably rank this dungeon as the 5th or 6th most difficult dungeon to time this season. With the help of getting lucky RNG in the maze, there are only really 3 things that I can think of that can help you speed up the dungeon that are in your control. The first thing in your control would be to manage your cooldowns well and get through the first boss quickly. The second thing in your control is to pull packs together through the wall within the maze. And the last thing within your control is your willingness to pull trash onto the second and third boss. I'm not going to go into detail about every single mob in the dungeon, as this isn't a guide, but just know that point 2 and 3 probably are going to be overwhelming for most tanks. Blizzard went through and surgically changed almost every mob within the maze to make it hit extremely hard on your tank, and also made them lieutenants, meaning that they cannot be CC'd. However, what everyone can control is how well they play the first boss, and that brings me to the point of this video. In this video, I want to showcase how I think you should manage your damage and your cooldowns while battling the first boss of Mists of Tirna Scithe. I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't think it was blatantly obvious where the damage should go and how to manage cooldowns for this boss. What I'm showing in the footage is the pull before the boss. What I would recommend is that you get your major cooldowns on cooldown. However, you want your major cooldowns to come off cooldown within a minute of starting the encounter. You can see in the footage that 1 minute cooldowns, Wings, PI, and Breath of Eons were all committed in this pull. After the pull is concluded, you can see that PI is not available for 1 minute. Breath of Eons is also not yet available. So this is the point that I think most teams make the wrong decision and end up adding 2 to 3 minutes to their timer. The question is, what cooldowns do we commit? And who do we commit them on? What I'll see even a lot of high level groups do is immediately commit their 1 minute cooldowns onto the tree. A common pitfall in doing this is that oftentimes the boss will phase before your cooldowns are back up again. Some groups will recognize this and call to stop damage, which means you're essentially doing nothing since the other boss is immune. What you should do instead is send your short cooldowns into the main boss right at the start of the encounter. In this footage, we use the 40 seconds where we can deal damage to the main boss to take off 15% of his total health, while passively cleaving down the tree to 56%. You can see in the footage that by the time the boss goes immune, we're trying to buy an additional 25 or 30 seconds for PI, Soul Rot, and Wings to come back off cooldown. This does put a little extra stress on the healer, but all damage that we're doing right now is effective on the tree. Had we sent 1 minute cooldowns immediately into the tree at the start of the encounter, the boss would have already phased without our 1 minute cooldowns being available again. Additionally, the main boss would be significantly higher health as we wouldn't have committed any priority damage. Now that all cooldowns are ready to go, it's time to blast. Try to save Lust for as close to the phase as possible. As long as your healer doesn't need it, you should hit it as soon as the boss phases.
Alright, let's go.
Oh my god. Big fuck. Due to how we prioritize damage in our cooldown management, we ended up one-phasing this boss, and we did not have to re-enter the burn phase. However, you should continue to use your Lust and the rest of your cooldowns to focus the boss as much as possible. For the second burn, you should be trying to re-enter the damage phase with 1 minute cooldowns available. If after the second burn, you're unable to commit to the boss before it goes immune again, you should be sending any and all cooldowns into the tree, as the boss should be nearly dead, and you need to get back into the damage phase as quickly as possible. So, to recap. On pull, it's 1 minute into the boss and cleave the tree. Your 1 minute cooldowns will be available once the boss pushes. Make sure to send Lust with the burn. Before entering the second burn phase, make sure your 1 minute cooldowns are available once again. If you can't commit to the boss after the second burn, you should be sending all cooldowns on the tree on cooldown. If you haven't been testing on the beta, I think you'll be surprised at how difficult it is to time this dungeon. The timer is extremely tight. The point of this video is to showcase how I think you should optimize your damage on the first boss. Every phase that you have to re-enter takes away a minute or two from the timer. It's the one thing you have control over in this dungeon every single time. I appreciate you watching this video, and I hope you've enjoyed this tip.